figured my dad was a little bit of stock trespassing. There's a lock on the gate.
We got that too.
They could have just dismissed that.
Yeah, well, we did, we only had to do a little diversion, I think, it wasn't that.
Oh, that's a pretty.
You bought a, Dad had my few golf carts.
Huh?
Dad had my few golf carts for the club.
No, they chased me in a few of them, but those did all, we didn't do that. I ran around a couple times on them, but I didn't do too much.
Switch.
We got lucky, those were the ones that they had, could put it neutral.
That's the Hans needs to fill out a.
Oh, did I just lose part of my pen? Does it fly somewhere? I'm really not trying to hit you.
Yeah, that's all. Pretty. It's basically just a Google map with a green square, and then his hand drawn.
And then his hand drawn like superimposed saying, hey, put it in this room.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll commit that to it.
Yeah, I hit
I
a
think
bunch
that's
of
part of
forms
what's
together today.
Yeah.
Oh, she's not here. Oh.
She's gone all week, well, the rest of the week, she was gone yesterday, and she was trying to get things done before yesterday, and things got
I
done.
can hand draw all my pictures.
Things got in the way.
If you read through that whole outline.
People, you know, residents call for many reasons.
It's somebody 20 hours a day. Potentially. Until they put these drawings together and get something that's comparable to what she
If you mind just giving that to me, and I'll, if you're willing, yeah, just maybe cross out what's not gonna be. Thank you. Is that page 2?
Well, that's about, bet you. That's a minor. Oh, so he was.
It's good looking. Cause they got a lot of work, but.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, they're moving. Somewhere else.
I think your problem with architects right there, it would be disaster. Yeah, it would be, using all. Gas station one time. Yeah, I don't think that's probably why the turned into parks. Versus like the grants, which was, my brother looked at it, he wanted to outreach, not that nobody could buy it or put on it.
It's past 6:30, so I think we can begin.
Because of that.
First item is the minutes of August 21st. I gave him a few things he's happy with, I think.
I'll make a motion, yeah, we could give that through the minutes.
We have a second for approval.
Second.
Favor, aye, opposed, so ordered. Wow. Go right down the line.
Yes, we have a, post-text amendment, 14 North Grand. The, location just to the north of the Verpenbeck, it's currently an attorney's office. We have a proposal to modify that to, restaurant. Currently it's a PO zone, kind of flows in with, I guess, 20 North Grand and 40 North Grand. Verpenbeck's is general commercial to fit a restaurant in. Restaurants aren't really conducive with the professional office zone. We discussed, how we're gonna get there, and we talked about general commercial zone. In our initial discussions, we had talked about, you know, the entire building, what part of the building is gonna happen, and it kinda came to the conclusion that they were gonna use the, second floor, perhaps, at least for now, as remained as residential. It's still residential. So part of this is a text amendment to include outdoor seating. Right now, the current, language allows for eating in the general commercial zone, eating and drinking places, including drive-throughs. So the central business district actually has eating and drinking places, including outdoor seating. So the suggestion would be to add to the general commercial zone, eating and drinking places, including drive-throughs, and including outdoor seating. This particular outdoor seating is gonna be in the back, behind the building is the proposal. There's gonna be a deck, or proposed deck, to be on the back end of it. You may be aware of the cobblestone. Cobblestone is in the general commercial zone. It has outdoor seating. I looked in the records and couldn't find when and how that got in there, but, it's my understanding it's been there a long, long time. So, we're considering that a non-conforming use, as it stands, and so there's essentially precedent that there is something like this in the general commercial zone. So, that being said, that's an additional part of that, request. In addition to that, the general commercial zone currently doesn't allow residential uses. Our other commercial zones, which include the CBD, and professional office, those two allow residential on second floor or above with the language that I have noted here. Essentially, the request would be to add general commercial, permitted use as residential uses. And then, in addition to that, part of the language, it says as regulated herein, it's under the developmental controls, it talks about specifics, specifically about the ratio, and I just kind of copied that information essentially from the central business district and professional office. Just, once again, we're doing this for consistency, of our ordinance. So most of this language is in other zones, it's just trying to create consistency, with that proposal. In addition to that, just kind of following up the map amendment, there would be a map amendment that goes along with this and stage 1 development plan, to change this to, general commercial zone from a professional office zone, at that location.
In this specific instance, how does that change the parking requirements? Because we have a business there, probably only have 4 or 5 parking spaces there. That's gonna be a restaurant there,
Well, someplace
So the proposal or the discussion we had was, they are gonna add some parking in the rear, but to also consider, a shared parking provision, and this is gonna be part of the proposal with, 20 North. So they have a really large parking lot, and most of that is used during the day and not the evening, and it would be kind of a request for a shared parking provision with the lot immediately adjacent to the north.
They got 18 parking places on here.
I think that's the proposal in the rear. They're gonna add parking in the rear, and I don't know if that's, you know, that's part of the development plan that will ultimately come to us, you know, so, you know, we haven't reviewed anything in that regard yet. That's when that comes through, we'll certainly review that, and my inclination is part of their submittal will be to include the shared parking at 20 North Grand, and, you know, that number may go up, may go down, if they can get enough parking from the adjacent site. They don't have all their plans together.
Yeah, 'cause I don't remember in the back of that building, does it go in a hole or what it does?
I don't think it drops, I think it's wooded, but I don't think it drops significantly. I think there is a relatively large, I couldn't tell you the area, but there is a flat area back there for.
The adjacent parking place, or parking lot doesn't have spaces around the perimeter, it has a drive aisle, so all they'd have to do is pave enough if they had an agreement with the office building, they'd only have to pave another 18 feet to get a whole row of parking in there. So they wouldn't have to make drive aisles and all that.
The grades work out.
Yeah, and once again, it's all gonna be part of the actual proposal, showing conformance with the numbers, you know, the required numbers, that they would have to achieve.
What's our parking requirement right now for restaurants, is it based on seating?
It's based on seating, and I think it's, 1 for 150. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't sound right. 150 square foot. One for 150 square foot. Cause I think the conditions up here we're based on 1 per 300 square foot, if I'm not mistaken. And I think, an actual restaurant, sit-down type restaurant, I think, is more dense, I think it's per 150.
Does that include outside seating? Cause I know the plumbing code, if you have outside seating, you have to provide enough restroom fixtures for inside and outside together.
I would assume it would include, my assumption, if I'm reviewing it, I don't know that it states specifically outdoor seating, but I think I would assume that would include that, yes. I mean, that would be my interpretation, absolutely.
Kevin, one thing I noticed is that, in your memo, or your, little email, you said that residential on the second floor, but the language in the others, and I think the language in the text is just saying, other than the first floor, other than the ground floor. But I don't think you could have an apartment below ground, could you?
Not with the sleeping.
No.
Yeah.
No, so yeah,
So it doesn't matter if we just keep it consistent.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know that I don't think the intention is there. I don't know if it's a slab, Ms. Hunter, is it a slab?
There's a basement down there with, an office.
An office, you wouldn't have any proposal for residential in there?
No.
Kevin, is there a reason we've got that 2-to-1 ratio for the residential to office? I guess we've got a maximum of 4 stories. I'm just wondering if we need that in there. I know it's in the other,
The only reason I put it in there was for consistency and really didn't think.
I would say you would wanna keep it in there in my mind, because you don't, I mean, unless we change the whole philosophy of what the GC is, you don't want somebody coming in and putting a multi-story apartment building or a residential tower there. The intent is to keep it as commercial.
Yeah,
Not
so if you
residential,
have
so-
multiple it would kind of keep that
It
down.
keeps it
well,
constrained, so-
yeah, I mean, as long as you get the first floor.
Yeah, but do you want a
Commercial.
10-story, I mean, just
Well,
in terms of.
Well, our restriction is, I think, 4 floors no matter what, or 50 feet. But I'm asking the question, I mean, if you had a first floor office or, commercial use and you had 3 more stories, you know, it'd be a 3-to-1 ratio if you wanted to allow that.
I mean, you could make that argument. Like I said, the reason we stuck with that was consistency, but that's certainly a good argument.
Well, I'm not trying to argue.
I guess I would argue the other side as well, if you're gonna go with a 4-story building, would you rather have it as commercial or mixed offices rather than residential? Because the whole sense of the zone is not to be really residential, other than, you know, this is an incidental case technically, really, but.
Well, and I think, you know, another example of it is Inverness. We currently have a GC zone down here that,
Yeah.
you know, it acts and feels a little bit more like a CBD zone.
Yeah,
But-
that was gonna be my.
But it is technically a GC zone and it has residential above, you know, so that's essentially similar to the cobblestone in the fact that it's the same thing, but it's a non-conforming use. It was in there before.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, that's not really an auto-oriented commercial, I mean, I would, even though it is identically, I think there's a distinction really in the flavor of what that is versus Highland, Grand or down at 27. Where they're more auto-oriented, where you're intending to bring people in from the outside. So anyway, I think the two one is beneficial to have, I guess, is what I was.
With all that being said, I guess we entertain a motion for setting a hearing.
So, just really quickly, logistically, we had, the last time we did this, we had this would be two separate public hearings. It's a text amendment and then a map amendment, stage one. The last time we did this, we went rather quickly through I think we set one for 7 o'clock and one for 7:30. And, we sat around for 25 minutes, so I'm not sure how we can we do that with advertising, Jan, to say 7 o'clock? And, I mean, I'm not sure how long that one's gonna take. It certainly could take a half hour, but.
You can make them 7:15.
Well, let's talk about something for a minute. A text amendment actually, although we keep saying the applicant is the other person, the text amendment actually originates from us.
Correct.
Okay. But the map amendment is really motivating the request for the text amendment.
Okay.
So would it make sense to have the public hearing for the zone change?
Mhm.
And if the zone change doesn't go, are you as a commission still interested in pursuing the residential and the outdoor seating? Are you following?
I think that makes perfect sense.
I don't know if you are or not.
I think that would make perfect sense to put that one first.
So maybe do that one first, and if it flies, go ahead with the other one. If it doesn't fly, you can just say as a commission that you wanna withdraw that.
As far as setting the times, can we put,
You can put it any, I mean, you could say 7 and 7:15, and if it's 7:15, we're not ready to go, you just wait.
okay.
So if I'm understanding right, the text amendment would be second.
Yes.
Right.
And I think at that point, you know.
But they are two separate public hearings.
I
technically. I just wanted to make sure that.
Are there any other public hearings that would?
Just
Okay.
those two.
I guess what I'm saying is for the text amendment, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of comment versus the map amendment, like Jan said.
But I think we have to be careful, the text amendment is for all general commercial.
I understand,
Yeah, I know you do.
I'm just saying in terms of
But I
time.
think we have to emphasize that with the public.
Right. I mean, honestly, and then we wouldn't necessarily do it next month, but I think the outdoor seating part of it is something that I think is a real legitimate request. I don't know so much about the residential, but at least the outdoor seating, I think is something we may wanna consider. If we don't do it now, it's something in the future.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for the 14 North, well, no, it's for the,
Yeah,
zoning
amendment.
map
Amendment, correct.
for 7 o'clock on the next meeting, which will be on
October what?
16th, October 16th, and it's 7:15. The text amendment for the change, to add in the outdoor seating to the general commercial zones and to add the main uses of residential in the general commercial zone.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So, 7:15. Our favorite, Alexander Starks subdivision.
So, modifications were done to this based on discussions, that Jan had, with some of the technicalities of the IRBs and things of that nature. So, this is essentially a dedication, of property. I believe that's the language,
Yes, dedication.
The right-of-way dedication plat, right?
dedication.
So I didn't really understand this. Do we own this now and we're giving it to them, or are the city own it now, but it's not right away now, and that's what they're doing is creating the right of way?
Well, we bought it when we bought Tower Park, but we never officially dedicated it as a public street.
Okay.
And so what they're doing is they're dedicating it now as a public street. Because for lenders to purchasers of the homes back on the circle, they want a dedicated right of way going back to their properties. And then this little piece on the back, the second page, there had been discussion that, some of that might be conveyed to lot two to give them more frontage, and so they'd be on a right of way, but for industrial revenue bond purposes, that wasn't gonna work, so what we're doing is we're dedicating this additional triangle piece to Alexander Circle as public right of way. So now they do front on a public right of way. But we're not adding it to their lot, we're just adding it to our street.
It looks like this is a 40-foot right of way that we're dedicating. Does that meet our subregs?
So we're dedicating the non-cross, on page one, non-cross hatch.
No, we're dedicating the hatched.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the rest of Alexander Circle was
Dedicated
prior
with the
plat.
plat, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, most of those are 50, but we do have the ability, I think actually we made a 40-foot right of way at Villa Grande, when that was put in, just for setback purposes.
And you can't tell from these plats, but I remember back when we had the initial hearing about it, is the sidewalk in with this right away, or, because there was questions about the sidewalk at one point.
Yeah, you probably haven't been up there in the last week, but there's major construction going up there. We're, reconstructing that curve, this curve, on the left field line, the outside of left field, to essentially bring that away from the houses a little bit. The sidewalk will be a monolithic pour with the curb, so it'll be right adjacent on the, this would be the south side, adjacent to the houses, out there in left field. But we're just kind of bringing that in just to give a little more space. It was right up there on those houses. We're softening that curve.
Yeah, that's fine. I just remember at one point, I think we needed to make sure that they didn't show the sidewalk in the right of way way back.
Yes, it'll definitely be that.
Do we do these as one or are these two separate?
I think you can do it as one.
I'll move for approval of the dedication of Alexander Circle, records plat. Pages 1 and 2, or whichever we've got.
Second. Moving second, we approve, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
That's what I saw too. Why did they flip the drawing around?
Once you sign it, we all get this.
It's a test.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a test. Anything else you wanna add before we go across the hall for our, hearing on text amendments, file paper?
I'll take a couple things for policy.
If you read them off, I would be happy to play.
My name out.
That's from last month, yeah, that's not there yet. I think I need to-
That's right. I can't remember if it's at the top.
Yeah, this was from last month, proof of posting for the last meeting. Got each of the signed. And that's the minutes. We signed one more when we did proof of posting.
Now, this next one we're having is for general commercials, so refresh my memory, we have 4 or 5 general commercials.
The map was right there.
Okay, we
It's
have-
either 4 or 5.
We have Hiles property, I call Hiles,
we have-
the Frisch's property out there, we have
Hi-
Inverness,
Mhm.
we have,
Highland and Grand,
okay, and
And
then
the Plaza.
Weiler. Oh,
and Wiley, yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask, is it possible to bring one of those maps across the hall, or do we have?
I think it might be already over there, or unless it's.
Okay, I was just saying in case people ask that question.
Yeah, I think, It was in here last month, but.
Oh, it's over there, that's fine.
It might have gotten moved. I'll check
I
and
think I
see.
saw it over there.
Okay.
Don't trust me.
It's rough, isn't it?
Oh, by the way, I do
You
have a.
started the 30th?
And then I started in 2 weeks.
I did have a formal
Yeah, I
withdrawal
know.
of the last plat that we approved. I got a formal withdrawal from them.
Oh, is it Honeydew working on it? Yeah.
That's what you read, what you'll sign when you read that. Well, let's keep it legit.
Paperless office.
You know, I tell you, it's one that I would love to, the council just got, their own iPads. And like, maybe we need to get iPads for like, just for the other boards and sit them, keep them there, or computers. Because, yeah, it was pretty thick. Copy. Julie usually does it, so I don't see it and feel it, and
Yeah.
I had to do it today, and it was.
Oh my gosh.
I like paper.
I do too.
Doing it so long.
I tell you, it's funny, we, I guess it was before adjustment, we send everything out electronically though, so which, most folks are on board with email and getting it electronically, but we still haven't up to the computers in the meetings.
But you know, we have those for council,
Right.
but we can't print off of them.
Yeah, guys.
Well, they said we can, I don't know why, but
They don't have a Wi-Fi printer or something?
They may not
we
be.
each get our own little one. I don't know, but
But if they're on.
I can
it's,
print
I think sometimes it's easier, you know, like if you have a report or something, you wanna write on it or make
Right.
notes on it or
Oh, I
do
see.
something, you know what I mean?
Hmm?
It's,
Yeah.
Well, especially if you have drawings or flats or something, it's always better to have a hard copy than trying to scroll around and then
Yeah,
zoom in and
yeah,
out.
you're right.
It's great.
I mean, that's good input, because I mean, I was really,
Like the minutes.
it's gonna be part of the discussion that I was gonna initiate with budget next year, just, hey, should we consider this, and what are the advantages, disadvantages?
But you gotta.
I guess something can be on it.
Yeah, I mean, drawings,
You don't need all the
plats,
paper.
Mhm.
yeah,
Like the minutes.
minutes and some of the
Yeah, that's
smaller
what you
stuff,
read it.
but
I typically read them, send me an email.
they, what you need is.
Print them, cause I know you're gonna go.
One of the, you don't need Adobe Acrobat, get one of the editors, so you can do notes
Right on it.
and write on it.
I'm like, yeah, I gotta read paper and I do
Well,
that on the
some-
screen.
I got an iPad, I write on the screen, just always charged because the style.
Right. But, yeah, but you don't have to wait to do that, but.
They didn't buy the spec for us.
I went across the hall and
They didn't buy the.
They didn't buy the spec.
Sure.